Love and peace to you. This is a verbal discourse on our wealth ethos. My name is Peter Johansson Osisi, and I work with our son Ashram. And this is an introduction to some teachings within Judaism regarding the principle of stewardship, an additional principle of our wealth ethos. So, within Judaism, and within the Torah, there are explicit teachings regarding the apportionment of land of Eretz Israel, the land of Israel, amongst the children of Israel. How this apportioning is to take place, and how exchanges are facilitated, and how even the assignment of these apportionments are reinstituted essentially every 50 years through the Jubilee year. So those are some explicit teachings regarding apportionment of land. And indeed, there's also the description after the period depicted within the Torah, where there is contention regarding Eretz Israel. And so those are some of the teachings generally referring to the experience of stewardship, particularly regarding land and material phenomena in Eretz Israel. Amidst all this, however, there is the consideration of preceding teachings and an example and paradigm of stewardship that may be considered as increasingly righteous and even increasingly predominant and authoritative, that is exemplified through Avraham. And there are two particular incidents. One where he is traveling. He is a sojourner on a foreign land. He leaves his homeland and enters into the land of Israel before it is designated as such. But is a stranger on the land and is a stranger amongst native towns. And so he has to continually navigate through negotiation and diplomacy to maintain his standing on the land. And so it's through the native town's recognition of his righteousness and even his holiness, his holy relationship with Adonai, with God, that he is able to maintain certain respect and recognition and standing amongst the native people, amongst the native towns. And so amidst this, there's an occasion where he is traveling with his nephew, Lot, and the two become very prosperous. And the two have houses meaning family belongings, servants, cattle, and additionally, both have two houses that are increasingly large, and it becomes difficult for the two to coexist with each other or cohabit and travel, migrate with each other. And so Abraham approaches Lot and says, "Hey, here's the wide expanse of land before us. I'm offering to you to take your choice, your first choice of which direction you want to go to, and I'll go in the other direction." And so Lot looks and sees a certain land that appears to be green and prosperous and beneficial for his cattle. So he proceeds in that direction, and Abraham indeed goes in the other direction. And so that's an example of the piety and righteousness in providing the other individual with the first choice, and the intrinsic modesty and diplomacy that exists within that. There's another incident that is increasingly specific, a little bit increasingly involved, where Abraham's wife Sarah passes from life, and he wants to acquire stewardship of a burial location to bury his wife. So he approaches the local people in a town forum, a public town forum, and makes a public solicitation. And so the town forum again recognizes his righteousness and proclaims that and says, whatever land, whatever plot that you want, just name it and we'll give it to you, or we'll tell you who has it and facilitate the provision of that plot to you. So Abraham names a plot. Then the current or the standing steward of that plot steps forward and says, "You can have it. It's my gift to you." But Abraham says, "I would like to pay for it. Please name your price." And so the steward says, "Well, here's X amount of shekels. That's my price." And so Abraham says, "I agree to that price. Here it is." And he gives gives the shekels to the steward, and the land, the plot of land, the stewardship of that land is exchanged in front of the entire town in a public manner. So that is there are a number of lessons gleaned from that, particularly the public nature of it, standing in front of the community so that it's recognized and sanctioned by the entire community, and rather than just a private deal that might be negated or denied later on. This is a public hearing. It's a public exchange, particularly as Abraham is the stranger, and so it's beneficial for it to be done in a public manner that's recognized and sanctioned by the entire community. So there's that. Additionally, it's offered to Abraham without price. However, in accepting it under those terms, it may be considered that the perception of righteousness amongst Abraham may be lessened in the eyes of the inhabitants. Here's this guy who's taking free land from us, and that might be perceived as a threat. So Abraham refuses. I am unaware of traditional teachings providing that. I'm inferring logic on that part, and amidst an awareness of other transactions in humanity that indicate such reasoning. But anyways, Abraham refuses, and says, "Please name your price." And so the steward names his price, and Abraham accepts the price as it is, without bartering, without negotiating, without haggling. Just, that's the price, here it is. So right there, it's a matter of recognizing that the person set the person's price, and I agree to that. And so again, there's legitimacy within this transaction, and through that legitimacy, there's endurance. There's an enduring respect and recognition and honoring of that agreement. And so the stewardship of that land is transferred and provided to Abraham, and that's how it stands. So those are some examples of the principle of stewardship within Judaism, an additional principle within our ethos. Ahava Shalom.